Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Follow Your Path YouTube channel and podcast. If you're new, welcome, shalom. And if you've been following this for a while, if you know me, welcome back. Glad that you're here. And for those who are new or may not know me, my name is Sean. I believe with everything that I am, that the most important thing we can do in this life is to follow our unique path. Each one of you, each one of us has a blueprint inside of us that is waiting to be expressed and unfolded. And the way that we do that is through trust, it's through listening, it's through conscious effort, conscious choice, let's say. And so, for what's happening for many of us, right, we're breaking out of the spell. We're breaking free of the illusion of knowing ourselves as little me. What can I do? Here I am in this world, just trying to get by. We have very powerful programs inside of us, primitive programming that keeps people in a state of survival, right? Even though we're in modern culture and we're out of the caveman place, even though that's still very alive in our DNA, we still have that kick in. And you see in our culture, people are stressed out as if there's a goddamn saber-toothed tiger in the room, right? And so that kicks off a very deep programming. And then you learn to settle. You learn to do what's safe. Your ego, the false you, the identity that was formed as a persona to fit in and adapt to its environment, that wants to keep you in the familiar, right? But part of this evolution, part of why we're here at Earth School is to transcend that. And that's part of the game. And it can actually be fun. It doesn't have to suck. That's one of the things that I've learned in some of the shamanic work that I do is we can laugh at our pain. We can laugh at our little self, our human, and with compassion, right? There's a time for laughter. There's a time for compassion and holding that part of yourself when it's moving through some deep fears, right? Because this survival programming, this shit ain't easy, right? This is not basic elementary school stuff. This is for advanced souls, which you are, which I am. That's why we're here, so that we can experience the greatest shift in consciousness with this many people than has ever happened before. And as I'm saying that, my ears are ringing. Oh. So this is one we're all in together. We are shedding the layers. We are releasing the things that were carried in our DNA that were handed down generation after generation. Like I want this to really land. Most of the issues that you believe you have, most of the things that make you suffer are not yours. It's a mix of childhood traumas and beliefs that you took on from the adults around you when you were a kid. And not only that, Christmas presents from your grandparents, your great-grandparents, going down the line, unresolved conflict, abuse, trauma, just undealt with. Here you go. Maybe you'll do it. Maybe you will be the one who will unfold the higher potential. And I got news for you. If you're watching this channel, you the one. You are the one. Just like in the Matrix, Neo, the one, that's you. There's more than just one. You're the one in your family line that's here to cleanse and transmute the bloodline, right? So that's one of them. One of the deep programs that we're transcending is survivalism. And to go with that, one of its very close friends, poverty consciousness. I'm going to make a whole other video on that because it needs that. It deserves that. But these are two big things, big themes that many of us, if not all, are purging right now, right? So here we go. We're diving into today's episode. I'm going to talk about the shadows because right now, so many beautiful humans are in very shadowy places. They're stressed. They're in fear. They don't know what's going to happen. They feel confused. They don't know where to turn. What's happening to me? And what that will do is that will kick off your survival programming and you'll go into avoidance. You'll go into escapism. These are the coping mechanics that you learned as a child, right? They kick in. It's automatic. Your survival archetypes come in. The wounded child, the saboteur, the prostitute. You'll start doing all these things to try to adapt to essentially what is internal conflict in your body. So I want you to just take a breath for a moment. Slow it down. And I want you to just do a quick contemplation. What have the themes been for you in your life? The themes that have been the most challenging to overcome, the themes or the patterns that seem like they keep showing themselves and they keep creating suffering and they're damaging your life. What have those been for you? I'll give you an example for me. One of the big ones has been shame. Shame to the point where it's just been crippling, right? It's, I'm not okay. I don't like me. I'm not good enough. Will I be accepted? That's a coat that I wore for a long time. And you'll really notice this in social situations, right? Around other people. This is where it loves to come in. And also within yourself, right? You'll beat yourself up. You'll because what does a guilty person do? Shame and guilt very closely linked. A guilty person needs to be punished. So if you're holding guilt, you're going to find ways to unconsciously punish yourself. And if you're feeling shame, you don't like who you are, right? There's no confidence. You're in this internal experience of like, am I going to be good enough? And that is completely away from the context and the knowingness of who you are. One of the key pillars of this channel is to help you come back to knowing who you are. Because when you know who you are, fear can't exist. And at the very least, if you feel it in your body, you are the observer noticing there's a fear experience going on, a fear response, but it doesn't touch you. It doesn't pull you down into it. And therefore, it doesn't have control over you anymore. And it's the same with shame. Now, I'll give you an example of this. I was always very insecure, filled with shame, filled with not positive thoughts about myself. I thought I was very ugly, I would always look at my perceived flaws, all of my quote unquote shortcomings, all the reasons I wasn't good enough. And of course, my reality would reflect that back to me. My reticular activation system would look for everything to support that story. Oh, look, that person did this. That means this about you. Oh, look, here's something else that person did that reinforces the shame story that you have and why you're not good enough and why no one likes you, right? So we're locked in to that reality as children. We don't know these higher truths. We don't have this awareness, right? And the issue has been that follows us all the way up until our now moment as adults, right? We can't be sovereign, divine beings, responsible adults when these programs are playing out. So this is why it's so important to know yourself, and to know yourself as part of the hero's journey. You will always have to go into the cave that you don't want to go into, and you will have to look at all of the yous that you've put back there that you did not want to face, deal with, all the fears, all of the things that created the shame. They're all back there, and your ego just wants you to be in, la la land, avoiding that stuff. And if it ever comes up, you just quickly distract yourself and get the hell away from it, right? So we're going to talk about shadows today because it's so important to have context. So important, because the shadows are the gift bringers. They are the chariots that the higher potentials of life use to ride in to physical form, to take shape. There's no other way that this can happen, right? The shadows, the triggers, the things that that will recreate the wounding, right? The unresolved trauma and abuse and shame and guilt. How else could it be alchemized if it wasn't brought into the now space to reveal that it's there, right? And so instead of seeing it this way, we say we don't like that, we don't want that, I don't want to feel it, get it away from me, that's not cool. Grab your phone, scroll social media, eat some food, go to the gym. That, and by the way, like, none of these are bad things. I'm just saying they're all ways to avoid the shadow that's actually saying, hey, I got some epic gold for you. I'm trying to help you evolve here. Like, I'm trying to show you where you're not free. Do not run from me. I'm your friend. I love the analogy of, you can look at certain movies to help you with this, to paint the picture. If you're familiar with Harry Potter, Professor Snape, I remember this as a kid when I first saw Snape. I'm like, oh, he's evil. He's a villain. He's a bad guy. He's trying to kill Harry. He's working with Voldemort. But really what you find, spoiler alert, as you get into the books, he's been protecting Harry the whole time. He has been helping Harry, the main character, which is you, the whole time. Professor Snape is an archetype. He's a shadow archetype, seemingly bad, but is actually here to help you, right? And it's the same with, if you remember Willy Wonka, that movie, there's a character named Slugworth, and he was so sketchy looking. He was scary, dark clothes, hat. As a kid, I was like, oh, like Slugworth was like a nightmare character for me. And Charlie thinks the same thing. He's a bad guy. He's trying to hurt me. He's out to get me. And what do we find out? At the end, he's been helping Charlie the whole time. He's been wanting to see Charlie win, right? So I'm saying this to bring awareness for people who are in that place where, like, the triggers are going on and the shadows are really showing up. See them for what they are. They are here. You know that they only reveal themselves when you are ready to evolve, when you are ready to heal, when you are ready to transcend all of the places that you haven't been free. There's no other way to do this, right? The higher potentials in life, not even just in our own individual experience, but in life, it manifests as a problem, as an issue, so that we can rise into a higher consciousness to bring in the solution, right? Because it helps us to go into a solution consciousness. Okay, what is this showing me? What is this speaking to me? What is this trying to communicate, right? So these shadows are your friend. They're your ally, okay? Now, I want to say this, going back a little bit earlier, when your triggers are going on, when the shadows are there, and you feel the intensity, you feel the emotion in your body, you feel the fear, and that could be survival-based stuff, that could be, not enoughness, what's wrong with me, whatever it is. What do we do, right? I mentioned the escapist stuff, the avoidance stuff. You're going into resistance, right? You are not allowing and accepting what's going on. And so what happens is you push the shadow further back into the cave. And then what will happen is that part of you that really just wants to be seen and acknowledged and felt and allowed so that it can move on out and you can be free again. That's really what it wants. It wants to be unified into wholeness because it got separated and fractured at some point as a kid, right? All of these things within us are trying to come back into wholeness, and we're the only ones that can allow that to happen. So you go into a state of resistance, right? And as the famous saying goes, what you resist persists. That is a universal principle. It's going to perpetuate itself, and this is the loop, right? You're running on the hamster wheel of resistance, and actually you're making the shadows worse because you're pushing them further back. So then what do they have to do inherently? They have to get louder. They have to get more intense because you've created more separation between you and it by stuffing it further back and not allowing it. Can you imagine, right? This is what I say to all my clients. You've got to get to a place where these feelings in your nervous system that you don't like, that are unpleasant and uncomfortable, you've got to begin seeing that as a child, as 7-year-old you who's knocking on your doorstep and saying, I'm scared. I am not feeling okay. I am hurt. I don't know how to deal with this. And imagine, and for parents watching this, like you'll really get this. Imagine doing that to your own little boy or little girl, right? Your daughter, your son, they come to you, they're in fear, they need soothing, they need to know it's okay. And you say, not now, like, get away, get out of here. That would traumatize them. That would, oh, you would never do it, right? And yet we do that to ourselves because we don't understand these mechanics, these that we're a house, that these versions of us are living in, and that was the point in time where the fracture happened and the separation happened, and the child had to develop adaptive behaviors and ways to deal with that because they didn't have guidance. They didn't, for a lot of us, our parents, even if they were wonderful people, they didn't know a lot of this stuff, right? So we got to take care of that inner child, and we got to show up by accepting that he's here, she's here, allowing them to be there, and changing the frame, right? Of like, oh, you're giving me an opportunity to heal. Like, thank you. You're giving me an opportunity to bring this part of myself back into wholeness. Thank you. I'm, by doing this, accelerating my path to freedom so that I can get to live happy, peaceful, joyful, authentic, sovereign as me, as who I actually am beyond all of those things. This is the only way that can happen. So all of those triggers are opportunities. I want to read you a quote that relates to this. I love this quote. I heard it from Guy Ritchie. You must face the demons that you created. You have to put them in front of the face of who you are now. The Sword in the Stone, incredible, symbolic, allegoric story, right, with King Arthur. The Sword in the Stone in this story that I think many of us know, right, is all of the things that are keeping you in bondage, that keep you enmeshed in the Maya, in the illusion, sucked into your ego identity, the false self persona. What is the sword in that story? The sword is truth. The sword is you, right? And the stone represents the shadows, the hypnotic spell that we all agree to come under to play this game on Earth School, right? So that's going to look different for everyone. That's why I wanted to ask you earlier, what are the themes that have been there for you? For me, it's been shame, and it's been self-abuse, and it's been guilt, crippling fears. I'm going to get in trouble. I hurt somebody, people pleasing, and insecurity. Those have been my overarching themes throughout my lifetime. And that's what I decided to work through, right? So the demons get created, and when I say demons, we're talking shadows here, right? These, again, separation, the parts that you pushed away. So if I want to release shame from my body and I want to confront the fear that I have of what other people think, I have to get to a place where I can sit with anytime it comes up, anytime shame enters the stage. That's an opportunity for me to hold that in a new way. That's an opportunity for me to allow, accept, feel, and then direct towards the truth of who I am now. So I have to look at all of these things that I have created separation with, that I've held fear around, and I have to look right at it. Not from a place of, I got my sword, I'm going to freaking cut you down, right? You're not going to battle. It feels like a battle, but you're not going to battle. You're going into unification. You're going into wholeness, right? So you're looking at it and you're bringing all the love in your heart to it. And you're saying, you're welcome. I'm here. You never have to be alone again. I'm here. I'm right here. And when you give that shadowy part of your consciousness that kind of attention and love and compassion, watch what happens. That's healing. That's transformation, right? And then you will start to learn how these things operate within you. If you truly desire to be free of shame and guilt, you've got to confront them in the now space. You can't read a book and take notes and conceptualize. That just won't do anything. That will help to form a game plan for when these things happen, right? Because the game and being on the field, oh shit, the trigger's here. Here we go. Time to love myself. Okay? So important, right? And then knowing while it's happening too, thank you. You are the gift bringer. You're trying to liberate me. You're showing all the places that need love within myself. Allow me to give that to you. I'm so sorry, 7-year-old Sean, that you had to live for so long not knowing any of this stuff and being locked into a reality where you thought you weren't good enough, where you thought that just being you was not enough for anybody. You thought that you were this ugly person that wasn't capable of doing anything right. Oh, that is such a dark place, right? Can you see that? Like, we have to offer ourselves compassion here. That was a dark place for us to live. And then, I carried it into my teenage years. It got even darker, got even worse. Self-confidence was just in the basement. No belief in myself. Just like totally enmeshed in my ego identity, always scanning and looking around for things to support the story of negativity. Guys, we get to free ourselves of that now. We get to live the rest of our lives without that if we can allow this process to take shape. So crucial. There's so many things that I could say on this, but I feel like for now, I've hit on the main points that I wanted to share today, right? So it's like, where are you getting stuck pulling the sword out of the stone? Where is the physical world, your aka your circumstances and the people around you, anything that remember, these are all characters in your movie, these are all props, okay? This is your play in your movie. Really let that land. What's the stone for you? What are those things that are keeping you bound to that little small wounded self instead of the infinite soul, the creator of your experience, the one who holds all the power, the writer of the script? What are the things that keep you from that? Get very clear what those are and bring the compassion, bring the acceptance, and then also bring in the truth. That sword is the truth. The light of your awareness is the truth that corrects all the distortions and the errors in your conscious mind. And those things live in your unconscious and they will come up in the conscious mind, which is the masculine energy, which is the good loving father, is like, this is where our attention is going because I choose it. This is what's true for us now, not when I was 7. Very powerful stuff. I hope that this landed for you today. This has been so alive in my heart. I've seen this. This has been so alive in my heart, and I've seen this show up with so many of my clients, and it makes me excited, truly. I wish I knew this way back when this whole process started, but it's all perfect, of course, and everything has allowed me to now teach about this and help people with this. So this is what's going to help shift our world, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to activate your soul's light within you. This is what's going to reveal your path. Because remember, your path is not this super clear thing all the way to the end. The way that it works is it's a step-by-step thing. It keeps revealing more of itself. There's no absolute, right? It will steer you in very interesting directions. And your job is to stay open and to trust and to continue to ask, show me who I am. Show me how I can serve this planet, humanity, all the people around me. And then life will mirror that back to you the way that you're meant to serve. And that will give you your highest contentment, your highest fulfillment, where you following your excitement, you will continually be shown that which is the most you. That is the yellow brick road, which is very unique to you, different for everybody. I love to see people's love story unfolding when they have that look in their eye, when they have that glow about them where they are in their path. And that's what I'm dedicating my life to, is helping people to unfold that and to walk that and to clear out any of the debris that's in the way of that. That is why I'm here. And I love walking my path. It is wild. It's beautiful. It's so unorthodox. And I celebrate that. And I celebrate all of you who are doing the same. There's a reason you're here. There's a reason you're listening to this. It's all connected. We're in a similar frequency. We're all part of the same tribe. And we're all meant to do this together and support each other through it. So lots of love, and I will talk to you soon.